The Jem'Hadar invasion fleet entered Earth's solar system, their massive ships dwarfing humanity's orbital defenses. Commander Corvus, leader of the alien armada, broadcast a message across all frequencies, his gravelly voice dripping with disdain. Humans of Earth, your primitive defenses are no match for the might of the Jem'Hadar. Surrender now, and we may spare your lives. Earth's orbital defense satellites fired their puny lasers, barely scratching the hulls of the invading ships. The Jem'Hadar responded with devastating energy beams, vaporizing the satellites in seconds. Panic spread across the globe as news of the attack reached every corner of the planet. The moon base, humanity's pride and first step into space colonization, stood no chance against the alien onslaught. Jem'Hadar fighters swarmed the lunar installation, reducing it to rubble in minutes. Earth watched helplessly as its first line of defense crumbled. As the aliens prepared for their ground invasion, the United Earth Defense Council convened an emergency meeting. Military leaders from every nation gathered in a secure underground bunker, their faces grim and resolute. Admiral Eric James, a decorated naval officer with a distinguished career, stood before the assembly. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice steady despite the dire circumstances, "I bring news that may change the course of this invasion." The room fell silent as Admiral James revealed the existence of Project Colossus, a top-secret initiative he had overseen for years. Hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean, a massive warship lay dormant, waiting for this very moment. "Decades ago, we recovered alien technology from a crash site," James explained. "We've spent years reverse engineering it, incorporating it into a vessel beyond anything humanity has ever created." Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the council chamber. Admiral James activated a holographic display, showing the imposing silhouette of Colossus. The ship's sleek design and enormous size left the assembled leaders in awe. "Colossus possesses advanced cloaking technology, energy shields, and weaponry far beyond our current capabilities," James continued. "It's remained Earth's best-kept secret until now." The council debated briefly before authorizing the deployment of Colossus. With time running out, Admiral James took command of the ship, assembling a crew of Earth's finest military personnel and scientists. Deep beneath the Pacific, massive hangar doors creaked open. Colossus, a behemoth of human ingenuity and alien technology, rose from its underwater berth. As it breached the ocean's surface, the Jem'Hadar sensors detected an enormous energy signature. Commander Corvus, initially dismissive of Earth's defenses, watched in alarm as the massive human warship emerged. His confidence wavered as he realized the humans had kept their true strength hidden. Colossus engaged its advanced propulsion systems, ascending rapidly through the atmosphere. Its size rivaled that of the Jem'Hadar mothership, a testament to humanity's determination and technological prowess. As the ship reached orbit, Admiral James addressed his crew. "This is the moment we've prepared for. The fate of humanity rests on our shoulders. We may be outnumbered, but we will not go quietly into the night. Today, we show the Jem'Hadar the true strength of Earth." The crew cheered as Colossus's weapon systems came online. Energy shields hummed to life, surrounding the ship in a protective bubble. Admiral James gripped the command chair, his eyes fixed on the approaching Jem'Hadar fleet. "All hands battle stations," he ordered. "Let's show these aliens what happens when they underestimate humanity." Colossus surged forward, ready to engage the technologically superior Jem'Hadar fleet. The battle for Earth's survival was about to begin, and humanity's secret weapon was finally revealed. As Colossus surged forward, Admiral James's fingers danced across the command console. "Activate cloaking systems," he ordered, his voice steady despite the tension permeating the bridge. The massive warship shimmered and vanished from view, its advanced technology rendering it invisible to both human and Jem'Hadar sensors. The crew held their breath as Colossus silently maneuvered through the alien armada, weaving between the massive ships that had moments ago seemed unstoppable. Commander Sarah Reed, the ship's tactical officer, hunched over her station, her eyes fixed on the incoming data. Sir, I'm detecting fluctuations in the Jem'Hadar energy shields. There's a pattern to it, a vulnerability we might be able to exploit. Admiral James nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. Good work, Commander. Plot an attack vector that will give us the best chance to capitalize on that weakness. As Reed worked, James studied the holographic display of the battlefield. Earth hung in the background, a blue marble surrounded by the menacing shapes of the Jem'Hadar fleet. His teeth clenched as he saw explosions blooming across the planet's surface. The aliens had begun their ground assault. Attack vector plotted, sir, Reed announced. We'll need to decloak directly behind their mothership to maximize the effect. James took a deep breath. Helm, bring us into position. Weapons, prepare to fire on my mark. Colossus glided through space, unseen and undetected. As they approached the massive Jem'Hadar mothership, James could see the alien vessel's intricate design, its hull overflowing with weapon emplacements and sensor arrays. We're in position, Admiral, the helmsman reported. James leaned forward in his chair. Disengage cloak and fire all weapons. Colossus shimmered back into view, its sudden appearance sending shockwaves of surprise through the Jem'Hadar fleet. Before Commander Corvus could react, the human warship unleashed a devastating barrage of energy weapons, each shot precisely targeted at the weak points in the mothership's shields. The bridge of the Jem'Hadar vessel shook violently as alarms blared. Corvus stumbled, gripping his command chair for support. Impossible, he snarled, watching as sections of his ship's shields flickered and failed. All ships, concentrate fire on the human vessel. Destroy it. Back on Colossus, James watched with grim satisfaction as the Jem'Hadar mothership reeled under their assault. Keep pressing the attack, he ordered. Don't give them time to regroup. As the space battle intensified, Earth's remaining military forces sprang into action. Hidden hangar doors slid open in mountain ranges and deserts across the planet, releasing squadrons of fighters. These agile craft streaked into the sky, their pilots ready to defend their home at any cost. Major Elena Rodriguez led the charge, her voice crackling over the comm as she addressed her squadron. Remember your training, people. Use the terrain to your advantage. These aliens might have better tech, but we know our skies better than anyone. The human fighters engaged the smaller Jem'Hadar vessels, darting between skyscrapers and skimming over oceans to evade enemy fire. Their tactics confused the alien pilots, unused to atmospheric combat and Earth's varied landscapes. Aboard Colossus, Chief Engineer Dr. Marcus Holloway frowned at his console, his eyes widening as he processed the data before him. Admiral, he called out, I've made a discovery about our power core. James turned his attention to the engineer. Go ahead, Doctor. The alien tech we reverse-engineered, it's capable of generating a massive electromagnetic pulse. If we redirect power from our main systems, we could potentially disable the entire Jem'Hadar fleet in one shot. A murmur of excitement rippled through the bridge, but James held up a hand. What's the catch, Doctor? Holloway's expression grew serious. The pulse would leave us vulnerable for several minutes while our systems reset, and there's a high probability it would affect Earth's electronics as well. James fell silent, weighing the potential benefits against the risks. The decision was taken out of his hands as a new threat emerged. Admiral, Reed's voice was urgent. The Jem'Hadar are targeting major cities with long-range weapons. Our ground forces are struggling to intercept them all. On the main view screen, James watched as streaks of energy rained down on Earth's surface. Each impact represented thousands of lives lost, millions more at risk. Commander Corvus, having regained his composure, issued new orders to his fleet. Focus all firepower on the human warship. It is the key to their resistance. Destroy it, and Earth will fall. Colossus shuddered as it absorbed hit after hit from the concentrated Jem'Hadar assault. Shield strength began to drop precipitously. Shields at 60% and falling, Reed reported, her voice tense. We can't take much more of this, sir. James made his decision. Dr. Holloway, prepare the EMP device. We need to end this now. As Holloway worked feverishly to reconfigure the ship's systems, a new alert sounded on the bridge. Reed's face paled as she interpreted the data. "Sir, long-range sensors have detected a second wave of Jem'Hadar ships entering the solar system. Estimated time of arrival, 30 minutes. The news hit the bridge crew like a physical blow. They all knew that even with Colossus, they couldn't hope to repel another full-scale invasion. James's mind raced, analyzing and discarding strategies in seconds. Finally, he stood, his decision made. "Helm, set a course for Mars orbit, maximum speed. We're going to intercept those reinforcements before they can join the battle." "Sir?" Reed looked at him in confusion. "What about Earth?" "Earth's forces will have to hold out a little longer," James replied, his voice firm. "If we can take out those reinforcements, we might just have a chance. It's a gamble, but it's the only play we've got." As Colossus broke away from the main battle, engines straining as it accelerated toward Mars, James addressed the ship's crew and the embattled forces on Earth. "This is Admiral James. Colossus is moving to intercept Jem'Hadar reinforcements beyond Mars. To all Earth forces, hold the line. We will return, and when we do, we'll bring the fight back to the enemy. Earth has stood for millions of years, and it's not going to fall today. Not on our watch." Colossus streaked through space, leaving the chaos of battle behind. Ahead lay Mars, its red surface a stark backdrop for the confrontation to come. The ship's crew worked with grim efficiency, preparing weapons and shoring up damaged systems. In the command chair, Admiral James watched the distance to their intercept point tick down. Everything now hinged on this high-stakes endeavor. As Colossus hurtled towards its destiny, the fate of humanity hung in the balance, with the crew of Earth's secret weapon racing against time to turn the tide of war. As Colossus hurtled towards its destiny, Admiral James activated the ship's experimental quantum entanglement communication system. The bridge lit up with a soft blue glow as the advanced technology came online. "Establish a link with Earth Command," James ordered, his fingers dancing across the control panel. Within seconds, a holographic image of General Marcus Stone materialized on the bridge. The grizzled veteran's face was etched with exhaustion, but his eyes burned with drive. "Admiral James," Stone acknowledged, his voice crackling slightly through the quantum link. "We were beginning to think you'd abandoned us." James shook his head. "Never, General. We're about to engage the Jem'Hadar reinforcements beyond Mars. I need you to coordinate a global counteroffensive. Hit them hard while they're divided." Stone nodded grimly. "Understood. We'll give them hell down here." As the quantum link hummed with real-time data exchange, Colossus burst into the staging area where the Jem'Hadar reinforcements had gathered. The alien ships, caught off guard by the sudden appearance of the massive human warship, scrambled to form a defensive formation. "All weapons, fire at will," James commanded, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. Colossus unleashed a devastating barrage, its advanced weaponry tearing through the unprepared Jem'Hadar vessels. Explosions blossomed in the void of space as alien ships disintegrated under the assault. Commander Sarah Reed's hands flew over her tactical console. "Sir, the enemy is attempting to regroup behind Mars's orbit." James nodded, a predatory gleam in his eyes. "Perfect. Keep them pinned there. Helm, bring us around for another pass." As Colossus engaged the reinforcements, the quantum link buzzed with activity. General Stone's voice came through, tinged with excitement. "Admiral, you won't believe this. The Jem'Hadar ground forces are in disarray. We're pushing them back." On Earth, Stone coordinated the counteroffensive from a hidden bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Holographic maps showed the progress of human resistance forces across the globe. In New York, a group of civilians turned fighters used repurposed alien weaponry to ambush a Jem'Hadar patrol. In the Amazon rainforest, indigenous warriors led Jem'Hadar units into deadly traps, using their knowledge of the terrain to overcome superior technology. Back in space, the battle took an unexpected turn. Commander Corvus, his face contorted with rage, appeared on Colossus's main view screen. "You think you've won, humans?" he snarled. "I will not be defeated by primitives." James watched as a significant portion of the Jem'Hadar fleet near Earth broke off, racing towards Mars to reinforce their beleaguered comrades. "Sir," Reed called out, her voice urgent, "Corvus is leaving Earth's orbit vulnerable. Our remaining defenses are launching attacks on the alien ships." James's mind raced, analyzing the tactical situation. A plan formed in his mind, bold and risky, but with the potential to turn the tide of the entire war. "One helm, plot a course to slingshot around Mars," he ordered. "We're going to use the planet's gravity to accelerate beyond anything the Jem'Hadar can match." The bridge crew looked at him in astonishment, but quickly set to work. Colossus dove towards the red planet, its advanced propulsion systems straining as they utilized Mars's gravitational field to build up incredible speed. As they emerged from behind Mars, Dr. Marcus Holloway burst onto the bridge, his eyes wild with excitement. "Admiral, I've done it. I've found a way to modulate our energy weapons to match the frequency of the Jem'Hadar shields." James's eyes widened at the implications. "Implement it immediately, Doctor. Tactical, target the enemy command ships. Let's show them what we can do." Colossus streaked towards the Jem'Hadar fleet, its weapons now capable of penetrating their once impervious defenses. The massive human warship tore through the alien formation, leaving destruction in its wake. Commander Corvus watched in disbelief as his fleet crumbled around him. For the first time since the invasion began, doubt crept into his mind. On Earth, the quantum link crackled once again. This time, it was Dr. Elena Rodriguez, her voice breathless with excitement. "Admiral James, this is Dr. Rodriguez from Cheyenne Mountain. I've made a critical discovery about Jem'Hadar physiology. There's a weakness in their biological makeup that we might be able to exploit, but we'd need access to their mothership's life support systems." James absorbed this information, his tactical mind already formulating a daring plan. The potential to end the war decisively was tantalizing, but it would require a dangerous gambit. "Dr. Rodriguez, I need you to transmit all your data immediately," James replied. "We may have only one shot at this." As the battle raged around Colossus, with Earth's rejuvenated defenses pressing their advantage, Admiral James faced a monumental decision. The plan forming in his mind could potentially save humanity, but it would mean leaving Colossus vulnerable and possibly sacrificing the very ship that had given them hope. James stood at the center of the bridge, his gaze sweeping over his crew. Each face looked back at him with trust and willpower. He took a deep breath, knowing that his next orders could change the course of human history. "Prepare a boarding party," he announced, his voice steady despite the weight of his decision. "We're going to take the fight directly to the Jem'Hadar mothership." As the crew rushed to prepare for the daring assault, James turned his attention back to the tactical display. The battle was not nearly finished, and the next few hours would determine the fate of not just Earth, but the entire human race. The next few hours would determine the fate of not just Earth, but the entire human species. Admiral James's eyes swept over his assembled team. Commander Sarah Reed stood at attention, her face a mask of purpose. Dr. Marcus Holloway triple-checked his equipment, muttering calculations under his breath. Major John Drake and his squad of Marines lined up, their advanced weapons at the ready. "You all know the stakes," James said, his voice low but carrying across the shuttle bay. "Dr. Rodriguez's discovery could be our key to ending this war. Our mission is to infiltrate the Jem'Hadar mothership and exploit their biological weakness. Colossus will provide a distraction, but make no mistake, this is a high-risk operation." The team nodded, their faces grim but determination. As they boarded the cloaked shuttle, James felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. The future of humanity rested on the success of this mission. Outside, space erupted in a dazzling display of destruction as Colossus engaged the Jem'Hadar fleet. The massive human warship unleashed its full arsenal, energy beams lancing through the void and finding their marks with deadly precision. Explosions blossomed in silence, alien ships disintegrating under the relentless assault. Inside the cloaked shuttle, James watched the battle unfold on the tactical display. "Helm, take us in. Use the debris field for cover." The shuttle weaved through the chaos, narrowly avoiding collisions with drifting wreckage. As they approached the Jem'Hadar mothership, James saw the toll the prolonged engagement was taking on Colossus. Multiple hull breaches flashed red on the display, and the ship's shields flickered weakly. "We're approaching the target," the pilot announced, preparing for docking procedure. With a muffled thud, the shuttle attached itself to the Jem'Hadar mothership's hull. Cutting torches flared to life, carving an entrance into the alien vessel. "Move fast, stay low," Major Drake ordered as the Marines poured through the breach. The team found themselves in a dimly lit corridor, surrounded by the alien architecture of the Jem'Hadar ship. Strange, organic-looking conduits pulsed along the walls, and the air hummed with an otherworldly energy. They hadn't taken more than a few steps when alarms blared, and harsh alien voices echoed through the ship's communication system. "So much for the element of surprise," Commander Reed muttered, raising her weapon. The corridor ahead filled with Jem'Hadar soldiers, their scaled faces contorted in snarls of rage. The air crackled with energy as both sides opened fire simultaneously. James ducked behind a protruding bulkhead, feeling the heat of plasma bolts sizzling past. He returned fire, his advanced weapon penetrating the Jem'Hadar's personal shields and dropping 2 soldiers in quick succession. The human team advanced steadily, their superior tactics and weaponry giving them an edge in the close-quarters combat. But the Jem'Hadar's numbers seemed endless, pouring into the corridor in wave after wave. "We need to move faster," James shouted over the din of battle. "We're running out of time." As if to emphasize his point, the ship shuddered violently, nearly knocking them off their feet. Through the comm link, James heard the strained voice of Colossus's acting commander. "Admiral, we can't hold them much longer. Our main power core is critically damaged. We're losing maneuverability." James gritted his teeth, knowing that Colossus's sacrifice might be in vain if they couldn't complete their mission quickly. The team fought their way to a junction, where the corridor split into 2 paths. James made a split-second decision. "Reed, you're with me. We're heading for the bridge to confront Corvus and disable their defenses. Holloway, take Drake and the Marines to the Life Support Control Center. Implement Rodriguez's bioweapon." As the team separated, a fresh wave of Jem'Hadar soldiers surged around the corner. Major Drake reacted instantly, pushing Dr. Holloway behind him and absorbing a barrage of plasma fire meant for the scientist. "Drake!" Holloway cried out as the Major collapsed, his armor smoking and melted in places. "Go!" Drake gasped, his face contorted in pain. "Complete the mission!" With a final glance at their fallen comrade, the team pressed on, their drive hardened by Drake's sacrifice. James and Reed fought their way through the ship's winding corridors, every step bringing them closer to the bridge. The resistance grew fiercer as they approached, elite Jem'Hadar guards throwing themselves at the human intruders with fanatical devotion. Finally, they reached the massive doors leading to the bridge. James placed a breaching charge on the seal, nodding to Reed. "Ready?" The explosion rocked the ship, and they burst through the smoke, weapons raised. As the haze cleared, they found themselves face to face with Commander Corvus, flanked by his personal guard. The Jem'Hadar leader's eyes narrowed as he recognized James. "You!" he snarled, his voice dripping with contempt. "I should have known you'd be foolish enough to attempt this." "It's over, Corvus," James replied, his weapon trained on the alien commander. "Surrender, and we can end this without further bloodshed." Corvus's laugh was cold and mirthless. "You think you've won? You've merely sealed your doom by coming here." The standoff stretched taut as a wire, neither side willing to make the first move. The fate of 2 species balanced on a knife's edge. Meanwhile, Dr. Holloway and the remaining Marines battled their way to the Life Support Control Center. They encountered heavy resistance from the ship's automated defenses. Sentry guns emerged from hidden compartments, and force fields sprang to life, blocking their path. Holloway worked feverishly to bypass the alien systems, sweat beading on his forehead as he interfaced his equipment with the Jem'Hadar technology. Almost there, he muttered, fingers flying across his datapad. Just need to... Got it. The doors to the life support center hissed open, revealing a cavernous room filled with pulsating organic machinery. Holloway rushed to the central console, beginning the process of introducing Dr. Rodriguez's biological agent into the Jem'Hadar life support systems. Alarms blared as the ship detected the intrusion. Alien symbols flashed urgently on the displays surrounding them. "They're trying to lock us out," one of the Marines shouted, firing at a wave of security drones that poured into the room. Holloway worked frantically, his mind racing to stay ahead of the Jem'Hadar countermeasures. "I need more time," he called out, his voice strained. "Keep them off me." As the battle raged within the mothership, the conflict outside reached a fever pitch. Colossus, its hull breached and power failing, fought with the desperation of a wounded animal. The human warship's weapons blazed defiantly, even as its systems flickered and died. On Earth, General Stone received the dire news of Colossus's imminent defeat. His weathered face set in grim lines as he made the call that could decide the fate of humanity. "All Earth forces, this is General Stone. Colossus is down. Admiral James and his team are on their own. We have no choice. Launch everything we have. Every ship, every weapon. This is our last stand. For Earth." Across the planet, humanity's remaining defenses sprang into action. Fighters launched from hidden bases, plasma cannons powered up, and even civilian craft armed with makeshift weapons took to the skies. Earth's final, desperate assault began. As the battles raged across multiple fronts, on the mothership's bridge, in its life support center, in the space around Earth and on the planet's surface, the future hung in the balance. The next few moments would determine whether humanity would emerge victorious or fade into cosmic memory. Admiral James stared down Commander Corvus, each leader the embodiment of their species' will to survive. In the Life Support Center, Dr. Holloway raced against time and alien technology. And in space, Earth's forces gave their all in one final push against the invaders. The fate of two worlds teetered on the edge of a blade, with no clear indication of which way it would fall. The tension on the bridge reached a breaking point. In a blur of motion, Corvus lunged at James, his scaled hands curled into deadly claws. James sidestepped the attack, years of combat training kicking in as he grappled with the Jem'Hadar commander. Reed found herself surrounded by Corvus's guards, their imposing figures towering over her. She ducked under a swipe from one, using her smaller size to her advantage. Her eyes darted around, searching for anything she could use as a weapon. James and Corvus traded blows, each strike echoing through the bridge. The Admiral's fist connected with Corvus's jaw, sending the alien stumbling back. But Corvus recovered quickly, retaliating with a vicious kick that sent James crashing into a nearby console. Reed spotted an opportunity. She grabbed a loose piece of alien tech, its edges glowing with strange energy. As one of the guards lunged at her, she swung the improvised weapon, catching him off guard. The guard went down hard, giving Reed a moment to breathe. James rolled to his feet, narrowly avoiding Corvus's follow-up attack. He spotted a Jem'Hadar weapon lying nearby and dove for it. Corvus, realizing the danger, rushed to intercept him. They collided in midair, the weapon skittering away across the bridge floor. In the Life Support Control Center, Dr. Holloway's fingers flew across his datapad, sweat beading on his forehead. The room filled with acrid smoke as the automated defenses intensified their assault. Energy blasts scorched the walls, leaving behind the smell of ozone and melted metal. "We've got a problem," one of the Marines shouted, his voice muffled by his rebreather. "They're pumping in some kind of toxic gas." Holloway didn't look up from his work, trusting his team to handle the new threat. "Activate your suit's internal air supply," he ordered. "We can't let this stop us now." The Marines sealed their helmets, the hiss of pressurization barely audible over the chaos. They continued to return fire, their weapons cutting through the smoke and gas. Holloway's equipment beeped urgently. "I'm in," he exclaimed, initiating the upload of Rodriguez's agent now. A thunderous boom shook the control center. The doors buckled inward, revealing a squad of Jem'Hadar soldiers. The aliens poured into the room, their weapons blazing. "Protect Holloway," the lead Marine bellowed. The team formed a protective circle around the scientist, their bodies shielding him as they engaged in close-quarters combat with the Jem'Hadar. On Earth, the sky lit up with explosions as humanity's last stand unfolded. Fighter pilots weaved through the chaos, their nimble craft dancing between the larger Jem'Hadar ships. Captain Maria Chen, her flight suit drenched in sweat, barrel-rolled her fighter to avoid enemy fire. "This is Red Leader," she called over the comm. "I've spotted a weak point in their shield matrix. All fighters converge on my position." A squadron of human fighters fell into formation behind Chen. They dove towards a massive Jem'Hadar battlecruiser, its hull filled with weapons. "Fire on my mark," Chen ordered, her eyes fixed on the target. 3, 2, 1, mark! A barrage of missiles streaked towards the alien ship, all aimed at a specific point where the shield flickered weakly. The resulting explosion tore through the Jem'Hadar vessel, sending debris scattering across the battlefield. Chen allowed herself a small smile. "That's how it's done, people. Find those weak spots and exploit them." On the ground, the tide was turning. Major Lisa Kwan led her squad through the ruins of downtown Los Angeles, repurposed alien weapons in hand. They moved swiftly from cover to cover, engaging Jem'Hadar patrols with guerrilla tactics. "Command, this is Echo Team," Kwan reported. "We've cleared Sector 7 and are moving to secure the alien command post." General Stone's voice crackled over the comm. "Good work, Echo Team. All units, push forward. We're starting to see results." In orbit, Colossus continued its valiant fight. The ship's AI, its circuits overclocking to process the flood of data, orchestrated a masterful defense. "Rerouting power to starboard shields," the AI announced, its synthesized voice calm amidst the chaos. "Initiating emergency repairs on decks 7 through 12. The crew worked feverishly, following the AI's instructions to keep their wounded ship in the fight. Despite the overwhelming odds, Colossus held its ground, its weapons still striking fear into the heart of the Jem'Hadar fleet. Back on the mothership's bridge, James finally gained the upper hand. He landed a crushing blow to Corvus's midsection, doubling the alien commander over. In that moment of weakness, James lunged for the ship's main control console. His hands flew over the alien interface, muscle memory from countless simulations guiding his actions. "Initiating shutdown sequence," he called out to Reed, who was still fending off the last of Corvus's guards. Corvus, recovering from the blow, let out a roar of fury. "You've doomed us all," he snarled, lunging for another console. "If we die, we're taking you with us." James realized with horror what Corvus was attempting. "He's trying to overload the power core," he shouted to Reed. "Stop him." In the life support center, Holloway's voice rose above the din of battle. "It's done. The agent is spreading through their systems." As if to confirm his words, the Jem'Hadar soldiers faltered. Their movements became sluggish, their attacks less coordinated. One by one, they began to collapse, overwhelmed by the human-engineered weakness. The Marines, battered but victorious, secured the room. "We did it, Doc," one of them said, clapping Holloway on the shoulder. "You just turned the tide of this war." But their victory was short-lived. Alarms blared throughout the ship, accompanied by an ominous rumbling. "What's happening?" Holloway asked, fear evident in his voice. The lead Marine checked his tactical display, his face paling behind his visor. "They've activated some kind of superweapon. It's powering up to fire on Earth." As the energy weapon charged and Corvus worked frantically to overload the core, the fate of two species hung in the balance. James and his team faced an impossible choice: disable the weapon, stop Corvus, or find a way to do both before it was too late. The mothership hummed with building energy, the air itself seeming to crackle with the immense power being channeled. Earth loomed large in the view screen, a blue jewel that now served as the target for the Jem'Hadar's final, desperate act of destruction. Time was running out, and the next moves made by James and his team would determine whether humanity would live to see another day or join the Jem'Hadar in mutual annihilation. James lunged for Corvus, tackling the alien commander before he could complete the core overload sequence. They grappled on the floor, a tangle of human and Jem'Hadar limbs. Reed sprinted to the console, her fingers flying over the alien interface. "I can't stop it completely," she called out, her voice tight with tension. "But I've managed to slow the overload process. We have minutes, not seconds." James pinned Corvus to the ground, his face inches from the aliens. "Listen to me," he growled. "This ends now. We can both walk away from this, or we can both die. Your choice." Corvus's reptilian eyes narrowed, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The biological agent was taking its toll, weakening him with every passing moment. You've already won," he hissed. "Why not finish it?" "Because that's not who we are," James replied, his grip loosening slightly. "We didn't come here to exterminate your species. We came to defend our own." In the Life Support Control Center, Holloway's eyes widened as new data scrolled across his screen. "This can't be right," he muttered, double-checking his findings. "What is it, Doc?" one of the Marines asked, still keeping watch at the door. Holloway looked up, his face a mix of excitement and disbelief. I think I've found a way to stabilize the Jem'Hadar, to counteract the agent we introduced." The Marine's jaw dropped. "You mean we can save them? After everything they've done?" Holloway nodded slowly. "It's not about what they've done, it's about what we do next. This could change everything." On Earth, General Stone received the update from Holloway. He stood in the command center, surrounded by screens showing the battle raging across the globe and in orbit. His weathered face creased with the weight of the decision before him. "Sir," a young lieutenant said, breaking the silence, "what are your orders?" Stone took a deep breath. "Contact all Earth forces. Tell them to prepare for a potential ceasefire and get me a direct line to Admiral James on that mothership." In space, Colossus maneuvered into position between Earth and the Jem'Hadar mothership. The ship's AI calculated trajectories and energy outputs, preparing for the worst. "All non-essential personnel evacuate to escape pods," the AI announced, its synthetic voice echoing through the corridors, preparing for possible energy weapon impact. Captain Chen led her squadron in a series of daring maneuvers around the mothership, drawing fire away from Colossus. "Keep them busy," she ordered. "Every second we buy could make the difference." Back on the mothership's bridge, James helped Corvus to his feet. The alien commander swayed, unsteady but still defiant. "Why should I help you?" Corvus demanded. "You've destroyed everything we've built." James met his gaze steadily. "Because there's a chance for both our species to survive. Dr. Holloway has found a way to stabilize your people, but first we need to stop that weapon." Corvus's eyes widened in surprise. He glanced at the console, where the weapon's charge level continued to climb. "You would save us? After all this?" "That's the difference between us," James replied. "We're offering you a choice. Now make it." For a long moment, Corvus stood motionless. Then slowly he moved towards the weapons console. His clawed hand hovered over the interface. "Commander," Reed said, her voice tight with urgency, "we're running out of time." Corvus input a series of commands. The console beeped, and the ominous hum of the charging weapon began to fade. "It's done," Corvus said, his shoulders slumping. "The weapon is deactivated." James nodded, relief washing over him. He tapped his comm unit. "Holloway, the weapon's down. What's the status on that counteragent?" We're synthesizing it now," Holloway replied, his voice crackling through the comm. "But Admiral, there's something you need to know. This counteragent, it won't just stabilize them. It'll change them, make them less aggressive, more cooperative." James glanced at Corvus, seeing the alien commander's reaction to this news. "Is that something you can live with?" he asked. Corvus was silent for a moment, then nodded slowly. "If it means the survival of my people, yes." "Then let's end this," James said. He opened a channel to all Earth forces and the remaining Jem'Hadar ships. "This is Admiral James. A ceasefire is now in effect. All forces, stand down immediately." Across the battlefield, weapons fell silent. Fighters pulled back from their attack runs. On the ground, human and Jem'Hadar soldiers alike lowered their weapons, the sudden quiet almost deafening after the chaos of battle. In the mothership's medical bay, Holloway supervised the distribution of the counteragent. He watched as the first group of Jem'Hadar received the treatment, their bodies shuddering as the agent took effect. "How do you feel?" Holloway asked one of the aliens. The Jem'Hadar blinked, his expression softening. "Different," he replied, his voice lacking its usual harsh edge. "Clear, like a fog has lifted." On the bridge, James and Corvus stood side by side, watching as the counteragent was deployed across the Jem'Hadar fleet. Slowly, the alien ships powered down their weapons, the threat of annihilation fading with each passing moment. "What happens now?" Corvus asked, his voice uncertain. James turned to face him. "Now we talk. We find a way forward that works for both our species. It won't be easy, but it's better than the alternative." As the sun rose over Earth, casting its light on the battered but unbroken planet, humanity and the Jem'Hadar stood at the threshold of a new era. The war was over, but the real work of building peace was just beginning. In orbit, Colossus began powering down its weapon systems, its AI redirecting resources to repair critical systems. Captain Chen led her squadron in a victory lap around the planet, their fighters leaving contrails that painted the sky with hope. On the ground, Major Kwan and her team emerged from the ruins of Los Angeles, blinking in the sunlight. They watched as Jem'Hadar dropships landed nearby, no longer as invaders, but as potential allies. And in the command center, General Stone allowed himself a small smile. He turned to his staff, their faces a mix of exhaustion and elation. "Send word to all Earth governments," he ordered. "Tell them to prepare for the most important peace negotiations in human history." As the news of the ceasefire spread, a wave of cautious optimism swept across the globe. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged not just victorious, but with a chance to forge a new path forward. The future, once so bleak, now held the promise of interstellar cooperation and growth. But challenges remained. Trust would need to be built, old wounds healed, and a new balance established between two species that had been locked in mortal combat. The road ahead was uncertain, filled with potential pitfalls and opportunities alike. Admiral James knew that the coming days, weeks, and months would be crucial. As he prepared to lead the first official talks between human and Jem'Hadar leadership, he couldn't help but feel the weight of history on his shoulders. The decisions made now would shape the future of both species for generations to come. With a deep breath, he stepped forward, ready to face whatever came next. The war was over, but a new chapter in human and Jem'Hadar history was about to begin. The war was over, but a new chapter in human and Jem'Hadar history was about to unfold. Admiral James turned to face Commander Corvus, their eyes meeting in a moment of shared understanding. The Jem'Hadar leader's scales glistened with sweat, his body still fighting the effects of the biological agent. "Commander," James said, his voice firm but not unkind, "we need your help to end this. Will you stand with us?" Corvus hesitated, his clawed hand clenching and unclenching at his side. The weight of his species' future pressed down upon him. Finally, he nodded. "What must I do?" James gestured to the console. "We need your genetic authentication to deactivate the weapon targeting Earth. Can you do that?" Without a word, Corvus moved to the console. He placed his hand on the biometric scanner, his scales leaving intricate patterns on the glowing surface. The console chirped, recognizing his authority. "Initiating deactivation sequence," Corvus announced, his fingers dancing across the alien interface. On the main view screen, the pulsing energy signature of the superweapon began to fade. James watched, his heart pounding as the threat level decreased rapidly. "Weapon systems powering down," Reed confirmed, her voice tight with hardly restrained relief. "Earth is safe, Admiral." A collective exhale seemed to sweep through the bridge. The imminent threat of planetary annihilation had been averted. But their work wasn't done. James turned his attention to the next crisis. Now let's deal with that core overload. Together, James and Corvus tackled the complex systems of the Jem'Hadar mothership. Their combined knowledge, James's tactical expertise, and Corvus's intimate understanding of his own technology proved to be a powerful combination. Reroute the power through the secondary conduits, Corvus instructed, his voice growing stronger as the counteragent began to take effect. James complied, his hands moving with practiced efficiency. Done. Now what? Initiate a cascading shutdown of the tertiary systems. Corvus replied. It should create a buffer, allowing us to safely power down the core. Minutes ticked by, each second feeling like an eternity as they worked to prevent a catastrophic explosion that would have decimated both fleets. Finally, the ominous rumble of the overloading core began to subside. Core temperature dropping, Reed announced, relief evident in her voice. We've done it, sir. The ship is stable. James allowed himself a small smile. He tapped his comm unit. Holloway, what's your status? The counteragent is ready, Admiral. Holloway's voice crackled through the speaker. We're beginning administration now. On the lower decks of the mothership, Holloway moved among the Jem'Hadar soldiers, many of whom were barely conscious. With the help of the human Marines, he administered the counteragent, watching closely for any adverse reactions. The effect was almost immediate. The Jem'Hadar's labored breathing eased, their muscular bodies relaxing as the stabilizing agent coursed through their systems. One of the Jem'Hadar, a high-ranking soldier judging by his ornate armor, opened his eyes. He blinked, focusing on Holloway. What have you done to us? He asked, his voice lacking its usual harsh edge. Holloway knelt beside him. We've given you a second chance, he explained softly. The agent will stabilize your physiology and, well, it might change your perspective a bit. The Jem'Hadar soldier sat up slowly, flexing his hands as if seeing them for the first time. I feel different, clearer. As word of these developments spread, the remaining Jem'Hadar forces across the solar system began to stand down. Ship after ship powered down their weapons, the threat of annihilation fading with each passing moment. On Earth, General Stone received the update from Admiral James. He stood in the command center surrounded by screens showing the rapidly changing battlefield. Send the order. Stone commanded, his voice carrying the weight of history. All Earth forces are to cease fire immediately. Maintain defensive positions, but do not engage unless fired upon. As the ceasefire took hold, a tense quiet settled over the solar system. Human and Jem'Hadar ships held their positions, weapons primed but silent. Back on the mothership, James, Reed, and Holloway worked to secure full control of the alien vessel. They moved through the corridors, marveling at the advanced technology surrounding them. This is incredible, Reed murmured, her eyes wide as she examined a holographic display. The computing power alone is beyond anything we've ever seen. James nodded, his mind already racing with possibilities. We need to start integrating this tech with Colossus. It could give us a significant advantage if we face any future threats. As if in response to his words, an alert sounded from one of the consoles. Reed hurried over, her fingers flying across the interface. Sir, she called, her voice tense. Long-range sensors are picking up something strange at the edge of the solar system. James joined her, frowning at the display. What are we looking at? Reed shook her head. I'm not sure. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. Some kind of anomalous energy signature. James felt a chill run down his spine. They had just averted one crisis, only to be faced with another potential threat. Get me a direct line to General Stone, he ordered, and start prepping Colossus for potential deep space deployment. Whatever this is, we need to be ready. As Earth began the monumental task of rebuilding, salvaging what they could from the Jem'Hadar technology left behind, humanity stood on the brink of a new era. The victory against the Jem'Hadar had come at a great cost, but it had also opened up unprecedented opportunities. James watched as Human and Jem'Hadar worked side by side to repair Colossus, the ship's AI evolving rapidly as it incorporated alien computational methods. He couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in how far they had come and excitement for what lay ahead. But as he turned his gaze to the stars, where the unknown energy signature lurked at the edge of their solar system, James knew that their greatest challenges and adventures were yet to come. James studied the mysterious energy signature on the display, his mind racing with possibilities. Whatever this new phenomenon was, they needed to be prepared. "Admiral," Reed's voice cut through his thoughts. "General Stone is on the line for you." James nodded, tapping his communicator. "General, we've detected an anomaly at the edge of the solar system. We're preparing Colossus for potential deployment." "Understood, Admiral," Stone replied, his voice crackling with static. "I'm authorizing full integration of the Jem'Hadar technology. We need Colossus at peak performance." As James ended the call, he turned to find Commander Corvus approaching, his reptilian features set in a determined expression. "Admiral," Corvus said, "I wish to offer our assistance. A contingent of my warriors stands ready to accompany your expedition." James considered the offer, recognizing the significance of this gesture. It was a testament to how far they'd come in such a short time. "Thank you, Commander. Your support is appreciated." Over the next few days, Colossus underwent a rapid transformation. Human and Jem'Hadar engineers worked side by side, integrating advanced alien systems into the massive warship. Dr. Holloway oversaw the process, his expertise in xenobiology proving invaluable as they merged the two technologies. James walked through the corridors of Colossus, marveling at the changes. Sleek Jem'Hadar interfaces now complemented the human designs, creating a hybrid system unlike anything seen before. "How's she handling, Reed?" James asked as he entered the bridge. Commander Reed's fingers danced across the new controls, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "Like a dream, sir. The maneuverability we've gained is incredible." As they prepared for departure, long-range sensors detected movement. The unknown force had entered the solar system. James called for ship-wide communication. "Attention all crew." His voice echoed through Colossus. "We've made first contact with an unknown alien species. They call themselves the Zorax. Our mission is to assess their intentions and protect Earth at all costs. Be ready for anything." Colossus, accompanied by a contingent of Jem'Hadar ships, set out to meet the Zorax fleet. As they approached Jupiter, the sheer scale of the alien mothership became apparent. It dwarfed even their combined forces, a massive structure that gleamed with unknown technology. "Open a channel," James ordered, straightening his uniform. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a being unlike any they had encountered. The Zorax leader, Supreme Overlord Zenra, possessed multiple eyes that blinked in an unsettling rhythm and skin that shifted colors like a living hologram. "I am Admiral James of Earth," he began, keeping his voice steady. "We come in peace and hope to establish—" "Silence!" Zenra interrupted, its voice a multi-toned hum that set James's teeth on edge. "We are the Zorax. Your civilization will be assimilated or destroyed. Surrender now and your integration will be painless." James felt a chill run down his spine, but he maintained his composure. "We refuse to surrender. Earth is our home and we will defend it." Zenra's eyes narrowed, its skin flashing deep crimson. "Then you choose destruction. Your primitive technology is no match for the Zorax collective." An idea formed in James's mind, a desperate gamble. If you're so certain of your superiority, then surely you won't object to a challenge. The alien leader paused, curiosity evident in its shifting colors. "Speak." "A ship-to-ship battle," James proposed. "Colossus against your flagship. If we win, you leave our solar system and never return. If you win, Earth is yours." Zenra's laughter filled the channel, a discordant sound that made several crew members wince. "Your audacity amuses us, human. We accept your challenge. Prepare to be annihilated." As the transmission ended, James turned to his crew. "Reed, you'll pilot Colossus. Holloway, I need you in engineering, pushing our systems to the limit. Corvus, Coordinate with your fleet for supporting fire. The crew sprang into action, preparing for the battle that would decide Earth's fate. Colossus moved into position near Saturn, its rings providing a backdrop for the impending conflict. The Zorax flagship approached, its sleek design a stark contrast to Colossus's bulkier form. Energy readings from the alien vessel were off the charts, indicating weaponry far beyond their own capabilities. "All hands, battle stations," James commanded. "Reed, remember your training. Use Saturn's rings to our advantage." The battle began with a blinding flash as the Zorax ship unleashed a barrage of energy weapons. Reed's fingers flew across the controls, guiding Colossus through a series of maneuvers that seemed impossible for a ship of its size. "Evasive pattern Delta," James ordered. "Holloway, give us everything you've got." In engineering, Holloway pushed the hybrid systems to their limits. Colossus surged forward, its speed catching the Zorax off guard. They retaliated with a gravitational weapon that warped space around Colossus, threatening to crush the ship. "Jem'Hadar fleet, concentrate fire on their starboard weapons array," Corvus commanded. The supporting ships unleashed a coordinated assault, forcing the Zorax to divert power to their shields. The battle raged on, both ships trading blows amidst the swirling debris of Saturn's rings. Colossus took heavy damage but gave as good as it got. The hybrid technology allowed them to adapt quickly, countering Zorax attacks with innovative defenses. Suddenly, a direct hit rocked Colossus, disabling its main weapons array. Alarms blared across the bridge as systems failed. We've lost offensive capabilities," Reed reported, her voice tense. James's mind raced, searching for a solution. His eyes locked onto Saturn's swirling atmosphere, and an audacious plan formed. "Reed, take us into Saturn's atmosphere," he ordered. "Sir?" Reed questioned, her eyes wide. "Do it," James confirmed. "Holloway, prepare for maximum power to engines and shields." Colossus plunged into Saturn's turbulent gases, the ship groaning under the immense pressures. The Zorax flagship hovered above, unable to follow. "Now, Reed," James shouted, "full power to engines. Use the planet's gravity to slingshot us out." Colossus erupted from Saturn's atmosphere at near relativistic speeds, catching the Zorax completely by surprise. Before they could react, Colossus slammed into their main engine, crippling the massive ship. As the Zorax flagship drifted powerless, the combined human Jem'Hadar fleet surrounded it. James reopened the channel to Zenra. "Supreme Overlord," he said, allowing a note of satisfaction to enter his voice. "I believe the terms of our challenge were clear. You will leave our solar system immediately and never return." Zenra's colors shifted rapidly, a sign of its agitation. "This is impossible. We are the Zorax, we do not lose." "And yet here we are," James replied firmly. "Honor your agreement or face the consequences." With clear reluctance, Zenra gave the order for retreat. The damaged Zorax flagship limped away, its fleet following in disarray. As the immediate threat passed, James allowed himself a moment of relief, but he knew their work was just the beginning. Earth had proven itself on the galactic stage, and new challenges would surely follow. He turned to his crew, seeing the mix of exhaustion and exhilaration on their faces. "Well done, everyone. Let's head home. We have a lot to report to the United Earth Council." Colossus turned back toward Earth, leading the victorious fleet. As they approached their home planet, James couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. They had faced their greatest challenge yet and emerged stronger than ever. Whatever the universe had in store for them next, Earth would be ready.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.